The air reeked of stale grease and engine oil as Noah sat curled behind a dumpster near Parkview Square. Knees pulled to his chest, fingers clutching the crust of a half-eaten sandwich, he hadn't had a real meal in 3 days. His shirt clung to his ribs. His hair, wild, thick, and matted, hung like a curtain over his eyes. People passed. Some looked, most didn't. Then she appeared. A tall woman with jet-black hair, dressed in a sharp burgundy coat and heels far too clean for this part of the city. She stopped right in front of him. You couldn't ignore her. Her name was Isabel Granger, a tech investor, a powerhouse entrepreneur, and one of the youngest millionaires in California. She wasn't known for kindness. She was known for dominance in boardrooms and headlines. But something about the boy made her stop. He didn't beg. He didn't even look up. "Hey," she said softly. He flinched. She knelt down, dirtying her designer coat without hesitation. "What's your name?" "Noah," he whispered. "Are you alone?" He nodded. Without another word, Isabel took off her coat and draped it over him. "You're coming with me." 10 minutes later, they stepped into Tony's Classic Cuts, a modest old-school barber shop tucked between a pawn store and a bail bonds office. The bell jingled overhead. Tony, the barber, mid-40s, salt and pepper hair slicked back, looked up in surprise. "Miss Granger?" He blinked. "Didn't expect to see you here." "I need a favor," she said, guiding Noah gently. "He needs a cleanup, urgently. I'll pay triple." Tony nodded. "Of course, this way, young man." Noah said nothing. He followed quietly, dragging his feet, and sat in the battered leather chair. A loose cape was draped over his shoulders. Isabel stepped outside to take a phone call. Tony got to work, sprayed water, massaged and shampoo, then gently began combing through the dense tangles. He paused. There was something hard beneath the boy's scalp. Frowning, he parted the hair carefully. His stomach twisted. There it was, a small, inflamed bump stitched crudely with dark thread. Something metal was lodged just under the skin. It looked like a flattened capsule, barely poking through. "Jesus," he muttered. The stitches weren't medical. They were rough, rushed. The skin was red and irritated. Tony swallowed. "Noah," he said gently. "Does that hurt?" The boy tensed, didn't answer. Tony touched it again. Noah whispered, I think it buzzes sometimes." Tony's hands began to shake. He stepped back, grabbed his phone, and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? "This is Tony Mendez at Tony's Classic Cuts on Riverside. I've got a boy here. Someone stitched a tracker into his head. I think he's being followed or hunted. Please get here fast." As he hung up, the shop door burst open. Isabel stormed in, eyes fierce. "What happened?" she demanded. Tony pointed at the boy, still frozen in the chair. There's something in his head, sewn in. He didn't even know." Isabel rushed forward, her face pale, her voice shaking. She brushed back Noah's curls, gasped at the sight. "What the hell?" she whispered. "Who did this to you?" Noah didn't answer, but his eyes met hers, full of fear and trust. She stood up, turned to Tony. "You called the police?" He nodded. "They're on the way." "Good. Someone's going to answer for this." Minutes later, red and blue lights danced across the cracked tile floor. 2 officers entered. Isabel stood protectively beside Noah, her hand resting on his shoulder. Her expensive coat was stained, her heels scuffed, but her posture was steel. "There's something stitched into his scalp," she said firmly. "I want a forensic team, trauma specialists. I want answers." The lead officer looked at the barber, then the boy. "Kid," he said softly, "do you know who did this to you?" Noah shook his head. His lip trembled. Isabel knelt beside him again. "It's okay. You don't need to remember now, but we'll find out, I promise." Hours later, Noah was transferred to a private pediatric wing under Isabel's name. Surgeons removed a small micro-tracking chip from his scalp, the kind used in underground trafficking networks. The stitching had been done by hand. No anesthetic, just thread and pain. Worse, marks on his back. He had been branded. Someone had claimed him. Isabel stared out of the hospital window that night, jaw clenched. She recognized the branding. Years ago, it had surfaced in an expose about trafficking tied to a failed tech venture she had once backed. A man named Damien Carroll. He had posed as a logistics investor. She'd pulled funding, quietly settled lawsuits, but never reported him. Now a boy had nearly died because of her silence. She called in every favor she had, hired private investigators, a security firm, even a trauma counselor for children rescued from captivity. Noah didn't talk much, but he watched. He watched Isabel show up, every meal, every check-in. He watched her stay calm through medical reports, through the scars, through the migraines caused by the implant. "What will it take to help him heal?" she asked. They told her. She paid, no questions asked. 3 weeks later, police raided a warehouse on the edge of the city. Inside, 8 more children caged like animals. All bore the same stitched wound. One clutched a photo of a boy. Noah. He had escaped first. They had tried to get him back. The bust made national headlines. Damien Carroll was found hiding in a motel under a fake name. His lawyers didn't even argue once they heard what had been found. Isabel stood before the press. "I ignored a red flag once," she said, voice calm but sharp. "That won't happen again. We don't get to bury our sins behind money and convenience, not when children are paying the price." 6 months later, Noah sat again in Tony's barber chair, hair braided, white shirt clean. He smiled, so wide that Tony, who had refused payment, burst into tears. The scar was still there beneath his left braid, but Noah didn't hide it. He wore it like a badge. Isabel had adopted him 2 weeks earlier. Now he lived in a quiet home with a golden retriever named Comet, a telescope by the window, and peace. At a winter charity gala, Noah took the stage beside Isabel. He cleared his throat. The room went silent. "I used to think I was trash," he said, voice small but steady. "That no one would care what happened to me. Then someone saw me. She didn't give me money. She gave me safety, a name, a home." He looked at Isabel, eyes shining. "Thank you for finding me before they did." The crowd stood in thunderous applause. Isabel reached for his hand. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to, because the boy she saved was now saving her too. If this story moved you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We share emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales that touch the heart and inspire the soul. Let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing your stories too. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.